There's a famous joke: there are only two hard problems in computer science, and one of them will make your app show yesterday's price today. Cache invalidation. It sounds boring. It's actually the reason your bank balance lies to you.
And here's what nobody tells you: the problem isn't technical at all. It's philosophical. Caching forces every system to answer one impossible question: when is old information still true?
Let's back up. Why do we even cache? Because the truth is expensive. Fetching the real, authoritative answer from a database, an API, across the ocean, takes time and money.
Right. So instead of asking the source every single time, we keep a copy close by. That copy is the cache. It's basically a sticky note that says, "Don't bother asking, I already know the answer."
And that sticky note is magic. It turns a 200 millisecond database trip into a 1 millisecond memory read. Whole websites are fast only because 90% of requests never touch the real data.
But every sticky note has a hidden expiration date nobody wrote down. The moment the real answer changes, your note is a lie. And you don't know it's a lie, it still looks perfectly correct.
That's the whole trap. A stale cache doesn't crash. It doesn't throw an error. It confidently hands you the wrong answer with a smile. It's the most polite bug in software.
Take your bank balance. You buy coffee, the money leaves your account, but the app still shows the old number for a few seconds. Nothing broke. The app just trusted a copy that reality had already moved past.
And notice how uncomfortable that is. For a moment, two truths exist at once. The database says one thing, your screen says another. Which one is real? Both, kind of. That's the philosophical knot.
Now scale that up. Concert tickets go on sale. 10,000 people load the page at the same time. Every page says available because they're all reading the same cached snapshot from 1 second ago.
So 5,000 people click buy on the last 100 tickets. The cache told them all yes. Reality can only say yes 100 times. The other 4,900 get heartbreak and an angry support ticket.
And here's the cruel part: you could fix it by never caching. Just ask the source every single time. But then the ticket site collapses under the load the instant it gets popular. The cache is both the disease and the cure.
That tension has a name in the field, the CAP theorem. You basically can't have perfect consistency and perfect availability at the same time when things are distributed. You're always trading one for the other.
So engineers don't solve caching. They choose which kind of wrong they can live with. Slightly stale bank balance? Annoying but survivable. Double selling a plane seat? Now you've got a lawsuit.
My favorite example is the notification badge. That little red one unread message that stays lit even after you've read everything. You tap the app, nothing's there, but the dot won't die.
That dot is a tiny cache that never got told the news. The server knows you read the message. Your phone's local copy didn't get the memo. 2 devices, 2 truths, and the badge is stuck on the stale one.
And this is why it feels philosophical instead of technical. The hard question was never how do I store a copy. It's how does a copy find out the world has changed and how fast does it need to?
There are 3 classic strategies, and each is a different bet. The first is time to live. You tell the cache, trust this for 60 seconds, then throw it away and ask again. Simple. Also blunt.
Blunt is right. With a 60-second TTL, you're openly admitting, I am willing to be wrong for up to a minute. Sometimes that's fine. For a stock ticker, a minute is an eternity of lies.
The second strategy is active invalidation. When the data changes, you go find every copy and shout, "You're outdated, delete yourself." Precise, but now you need to know where every single copy lives.
And in a big system, copies are everywhere. In memory, on servers, in the user's browser, in a CDN on another continent. Tracking down all of them reliably is genuinely one of the nastiest problems in the job.
The third is write through. Every time you update the truth, You update the cache in the same breath. They move together, so they never disagree. Elegant, until one of those two writes fails halfway.
And that half failure is the monster under the bed. The database saved, the cache didn't, or the reverse. Now your two truths have permanently diverged, and no error was ever raised to warn you.
This is exactly why the joke lands with engineers. The other hard problem is naming things, which is a joke about taste. Cache invalidation is a joke about the limits of knowing what's true.
And there's a real career lesson hiding in here. In interviews, when they ask you to design a system, the senior move isn't building the cache. It's saying out loud, here's how stale my data is allowed to be, and why.
Exactly. Junior engineers add a cache to make things fast. Senior engineers add a cache and immediately ask, okay, how does this lie to me, and what does that cost the business? That question is the whole skill.
Because at the end of the day, a cache is a bet that the past is still good enough to stand in for the present. Most of the time, it is. The hard part is knowing exactly when it stops being true.
So next time your app shows yesterday's price, or that badge won't clear, don't call it a bug. Call it what it is, a machine trusting a memory a half second longer than it should have.